Good day, everybody. This is your man Jason Miles here with IAB, and we're going to be talking today. Oh, by the way, IAB means it's about belief. And today, Steve is going to be sharing with us a talent, a skill, if you will, a way for you to master your life effectively, how to take control of your own situation. And what that one skill is, Steve is going to have to share with us. But I can tell you, I've had a bunch of conversations with him about it, and you're going to be amazed at what it is, right? But you do have to work on it, and you do have to understand what you need to do. But Steve has to tell you all this stuff. So, without further ado, let's get right into what it is because I'm excited to share it with you. I know Steve is excited to share it with you. I'm excited because I got an opportunity to learn it. So let's get to it. Steve, what's up, man?
Hey,
Or should
¿cómo
I say,
estás?
que pasa,
Aloha.
amigo?
So yeah, I'm taking some Spanish lessons, but that's not what prompted the sombrero. So
what prompted the sombrero today?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just sitting here. We were setting things up, and all of a sudden, hey, why don't you wear your sombrero? It's like came in, boom. So here I am.
I could see you driving down the street with your drop top. I can see that happening.
Well,
I can
let's not take ourselves too seriously here. You know
no,
what I'm saying? So
can't do it. I mean,
that's right.
life is always in the moment. I think that you and I have had several conversations about that but it's easy to get out of the moment. And sometimes you live in moments that you can't go back and do anything about. But you dwell in
See.
that. You dwell in that.
Sí, un momento, por favor.
One moment, please. So tell me, Steve, today we're going to be talking about, and I wrote this down, uh, master this one skill to master your life. I mean, what is that? How can you articulate that so that the listeners or watchers, viewers, can understand exactly what that is? How can you articulate it? What is it, and how do you master it?
Right, exactly. Now, if I just blurted out what the one skill is, you would not understand it. You would say, "What? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever." So allow me, if you will, to lay a little bit of foundation of understanding so that when I do say it, it'll go into the brain matter. It won't bounce off.
Right.
So so first, let's remember that we are vibrational beings living in a vibrational world. Okay. Yes, we're sitting here in these physical bodies, but if we look closely and remember our fifth grade physical science, we'll know that we're nothing but protons, neutrons, electrons, with massive amounts of space in between.
Mm-hmm.
And then those particles, and then we learn those particles aren't particles, they're just vibrational tones. So we're frequency. We're frequency, vibration, consciousness, and energy.
Mm.
And that's what we are within everything. Now, if we combine that with the knowledge and knowing that each moment we have is a standalone moment. Now, what I mean by that, stand alone, alone, it's by itself at this moment, that moment, the one I just referenced in this moment, two totally different moments. Stand alone, they're not connected. That's what I mean. That moment back there is not connected to this moment. And this moment is not connected to, well, this moment, the moment I was just talking about. So they're not connected. There's no real cause and effect relationship between the moments.
Wow.
They're separate. And I'm going to keep saying it. They're separate. They're not the same. Listen, there's no way that I can convince you of what I'm saying after you've been on the planet for 20, 30, 50, 80 years and you're pre-programmed into believing that what happened over there is affecting or having an effect on what's going on right now. You're not going to believe me, you know, but I'm going to keep saying it until
So,
you at least test the theory.
so just to kind of elaborate on that just a little bit, what you're saying there is that what happened back there in the past, to some extent, has really no bearing on what's happening right now or what could happen later.
Excellent question. It will have an effect, but only, and listen, I'm really emphasizing the word only, what you bring into this moment from that moment,
Mm,
from your beliefs and your thinking and your thoughts.
I get
But
it.
from a physical point of view, from a physics point of view, there's no relationship whatsoever. Now, because we have this effect on Earth, which is an automatic effect that kind of, is bringing the momentum from previous things into this moment, because we need that in order to keep the illusion going. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So we need that. So that's there. So we have to address that and realize, okay, we're going to have some momentum from our beliefs and going forward. Otherwise, the whole illusion would break down and the whole time space reality, quote unquote reality, construct would disappear. And then we would see everything the way it really is,
Mm.
which is happening, or really everything is just this one moment. So, Einstein said, and I like to quote him a lot, especially in these podcasts, because presumably that might bring some credibility to what I'm saying. But he said that, well, time was created, invented so that it wouldn't appear that everything isn't happening all at once. But everything is happening all at once. And he knew that.
Hmm.
He was just trying to explain, hey, time is just part of the illusion.
And it's,
So
it's an amazing. Uh, I've been kind of enthralled with that as of late, and understanding, or attempting. It'd be a better way for me to describe it. Attempting to understand, the, I don't know. I guess the illusion of time, or the
whoops.
linear aspect. Yeah, the linear aspect, or the linear belief, or the belief that time is linear. I guess that would be the better way to say it. You
That
know,
is the biggest challenge I think we as human beings have, is
yeah,
to get past the idea of time. Oh my God. I
and
mean,
because it's
I'm not,
almost impossible. I mean, it's
yeah,
not, but it's almost for the vast majority of humans. It's whatever time you wake up, the routine that is
yeah,
solely based on time, which are the constraints or construct even of the world that we choose to live in. But understanding that to a certain extent, going back to your point of this belief structure,
hmm,
you said that we bring to this moment what we choose. We can
exactly.
choose to bring forth what we've learned from an experience and use that to our benefit in the moment, because really that's all we have. Or we can bring all of the baggage and I can't remember what you said verbatim, but something that you just said, it had something to do with the physical aspect of it, and or maybe it was where I took it mentally, because if you bring something forward to the present from the past, it's always something mental, but it can turn into something physical if you let it, good or bad. Would that be correct?
There's a couple things I'd like to address there. The physical, vibrational, and spiritual, and all that. There's really no difference. It's all the same. We're all in this one space. We're not really moving around. It just looks like we are. The only thing we're doing is we're just changing our frequency. That's pretty much it, you
Mm.
know?
Hmm.
So the frequency of physical is different than the frequency of non-physical. But it's not like frequency of non-physical is up here and we're down here. No, it's just all one thing.
Hmm.
It's the singularity, if you will. It's the one thing. There's only one thing.
Mm.
Uh, and we're just bouncing around this one thing by varying our frequency, um, megahertz vibrational,
Right.
wavelengths,
Right.
to see different perspectives of the one thing. And that's pretty much it. There's one thing that so everything. If there's one thing and there's no time, then everything exists now. So we have the choice of seeing anything and everything we wish. We just need to understand how to do it.
Right. Right. I I agree. I mean, and in understanding what this one thing is, what this what this one skill is,
Yes.
because everybody wants to be able to control their life. Everyone wants to, but so many of us are caught up in this.
Regurgitating the same old crap.
Yeah, and we just get caught in this whirlwind, this tornado of,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
even
that
know what to
happens.
call it. Just kind of the same thing over and over and over, and we wonder. I know I do, because I talked to you about it. Like, I mean, why does this always happen? Why am I always finding myself? And I think that we all ask ourselves this: why am I always finding myself in this situation? I mean, it's not always the exact situation, but it's a similar situation, right? It's a point when you find yourself, back against the wall or in the corner, trying to figure out what to do and feeling as though you have no control or no bearing on the outcome. How do you? What
Well,
is it?
but
What
first
do I need
off,
to
oh
control?
my God, there's so much to go from there, but so much that you're bringing up. But the let's give our viewers and our listeners the answer to the question
Yeah.
of what's this one skill
Yeah. What's
that
that
we
skill?
we need to master in order to master our lives, our world. So knowing, and I'm just going to repeat this one more time, knowing that this is a standalone moment. That moment back there had nothing to do with this moment. The one skill you need to learn is how to forget.
Mm.
How to forget. Just now, let's quantify that a little bit. So, looking back at those past moments, quote unquote, past moments, and listen, by the way, the time thing, we're in this time thing. We're going to go through life and experience it as time. So, forget the fact that there's no time, because in a way it's not really relevant, but it's important to understand so that you know where your power is,
Hmm.
how much power you can exert over it. So to change the trajectory of this momentum that you're moving through this time space continuum. So looking back at those past moments and knowing that they don't necessarily have to have a relationship to this moment or the future moments. You can go back and you can say, look, okay, This set of moments were great. That's fantastic. I like those. I want to put my attention on those. You can look over here and say, that set of moments, I didn't like those
Mm.
so much. And I really didn't like those over there. So, what you want to do is bring that skill in, that mastery of learning to forget. So, you draw your line right there. You say, I'm going to forget all these. I'm going to forget them.
Mm.
That's I'm I'm gonna erase them from my memory. Now that brings up a scientific discovery that people with multiple personalities will come in and out of the body, and one might have a big tumor on its neck.
Mm-hmm.
This, Bob shows up and he's in the same body, but there's a big tumor on his neck. And then Bob disappears as that personality, and Alice shows up, and she's just a young kid of personality, but there's no tumor on her neck, and there's no physical tumor in the body. So there's no belief, there's no vibrational remembrance of an of a tumor on the neck when Alice shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So, just if you need some evidence, get there's some evidence. But I would say be the evidence.
Right. You know,
Test the theory.
absolutely. I was watching an interview with a very prominent person in America, businessman, all that great stuff, and he has a very very interesting background in terms of his family dynamics and things like that. But he said something that I felt was really profound in that he said, "Listen, I learned from the past, but I don't live in it. I don't even think about it. Right? I
Yeah.
learn. He said, I've read. I've talked to a bunch of different people. I still do. I watch what people do, and then I don't make those same mistakes, or I do everything I can do not to make those same mistakes. But I don't think about the past. The past is the past. There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing it's going to do to help me moving forward. I got what I got out of it, and I stay right here, right now, to do what I need to do today, because I don't know what tomorrow's going to be either." And
Yeah.
I felt like he was just in complete connection with who he is, like him or not, or what he
Yeah.
does or what he says, but he's in tune to what it is he wants to do right now, thinking about whatever he's thinking about. And I just felt like that was really, really solid. Like, I'm not forgetting
Here's
about it, but I forgot about it.
here's the trap, and you made some references to it earlier. Here's the trap that most people fall into. They've
Mhm.
they've thought about the things that they don't like, and they think about them too much. Bottom line,
Right.
they think they believe that they have to work on those things
Mm.
and fix them, but you cannot fix a problem. You can only move into a different frequency where that problem does not exist.
Mhm.
I hope that made sense. So there's no going back into the past and fixing a problem
Right.
and trying to fix the same problem here in the future. You've already brought it forward and created it. And bam, just like that, it's gone. And you're creating the next moment and so forth. So the number one challenge that most people have is changing their thinking
Mhm.
from what it is they don't like into what it is they do like because they're so emotionally tied into those problems and they say, oh, that son of a bitch that cut me off in traffic yesterday or 2 weeks ago, you know, they keep talking about that because it brought up, some visceral emotional things. And so by doing that, guess what? There's going to be another guy that's going to cut them off in traffic because they because now they're focused. They brought that into this moment.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't. They're not
Yeah.
realizing that they're doing it. So the best thing to do is say, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy. Bring that, tone that down, turn the volume down,
Mm-hmm.
turn the emotions off, and say, I like it a lot better when people are just cruising on the interstate
That's right.
and they're really aware of what's going on, and that's what happens. I can tell you a number of stories of where I've seen like a little minivan cut me off, and then minutes later, a red minivan cuts me off. And minutes later, I said, "All right, stop! I get it. I get
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Yeah.
quit messing with me now, or I'm messing with myself. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but I do know. I see the relationship, and so all I'm saying is, number one, be aware of what you're thinking. Be
Mhm.
aware of what's being reflected back to you, because that's what you're thinking. That's your mirror. That's your guiding uh, outlook into what's going on in here. And the whole purpose is to learn more about who we are.
Absolutely.
So, and then don't get caught up in trying to uh, manipulate or control circumstances. So you see the circumstances in your life, and you say, "Man, I got to get control of this thing." No, you're right back into trying to fix the problem, and that's
Hmm.
not going to work. So allow the circumstances to be the circumstances.
Yeah.
And then the next thing to do, I'm giving you a process. So allow the circumstances to be, because they are. Then say to yourself, whatever will be. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen.
Hmm.
So now you've accepted what is. You're not resisting it. The resistance to what you're seeing is what's causing that them to show up again, because that resistance, you're pumping energy into the things that you're resisting, so they have no other choice but to stay alive.
Right.
You're
Right.
giving you're giving them the power to stay alive, because all the power is coming from you, whether you like it or not. In other words, whether you like those circumstances or you don't like those circumstances, the power is coming from you. How is that possible? Well, everything's a reflection. We've talked about that. So everything's a reflection. Really, I'm just trying to bring all this together so that everybody that's listening to this, I'm trying to get you to realize your power.
Right. Let me add to that, if you don't mind,
No.
because it's something that I learned. I mean, we're talking about the negative to a certain extent. Don't bring that, this, that, and the other if you're running away from it. But just to give people an idea of how you create your reality, and it's the simplest way that I learned, and it works on the negative and the positive side. So the power lies within. It lies in our mind, is what you're saying, right? It's what we
Yes.
think. It's the vibrations that we create. So
It's an inside job, every
it's an
bit of
inside job. So think
it.
about
Yeah.
this for a second, because we can all relate to this. When you wanted to buy a new car and you had in your mind what that car was, you never saw that car on the road or didn't see it that often until you started to put it in your mind that that's what you want. I want that
Mhm.
Buick Regal or whatever, right? And now you see Buick Regals everywhere you go. It's like God is what most people equate it to, is just throwing these Regals at you because you said you wanted it. But that's what happens when you put yourself in the vibration of a Buick Regal, right? Or whatever that car is for you. When you want something, when you pay attention to it and it's in your mind, I'm going to get one of those. I'm going to buy that. They're all over the place. And that's the
Yeah,
vibration that you want to find yourself in. That's the place you want to be, right?
of course. Well, it depends if you like it. Now, one thing that I want to talk about briefly is, from the universe's point of view, it's nothing but a mechanism, and it doesn't know what's good or bad. It's not looking at Steve or Miles and saying, oh, these are good things or these are bad things. No, it's not doing any of that. It doesn't care.
Hmm.
It's just it's there just to give you, I'm not going to say what you want because it's there to give you who you are. And I heard this for many, many years before I really understood it. You're not going to get what you want. You're only going to get who you are.
Hmm.
You're going to get how whatever it is your vibrational reflection is going to give you. So it's not about wishing for this or that or the other. It's about becoming
Right.
the vibration of what it is that you wish. So
That's a good point.
that yeah, that so the universe is not out there judging.
Right.
God's not saying, "Oh, you know, these are not good things." No, God is there just saying, "Hey, you've got the choice. Do whatever it is you want. I'm not here to say this is good or bad. And what's good for you, Miles, might not be good for somebody else that
For sure.
wants something completely different. Obviously, if we look around the planet, people don't think the same. They do not
What?
think the same.
Really?
Yeah, they don't.
But that's a good point, though, Steve. I mean, you know, there is no good or bad. It's vibration. I mean, if the frequency that you choose to live at is of low vibration, you're going to get low vibration stuff. Period. And I know to a lot of people, especially anyone new that may be watching or listening, all this hocus pocus thing. It's not hocus pocus thing. This is a physical science, right? Everything, every single thing is made up of matter, and it's all moving, regardless of how solid you think it is. A rock is made up of particles that are constantly moving. They're just moving in a very dense fashion. You are the same. We are all the same. And the frequency, I'm not saying you can turn yourself into a rock, okay? So take it easy. But what I'm
Well,
saying,
well, it depends on what you believe and how deeply
right,
you believe it,
that's
because you
true.
can turn yourself into a rock.
Well,
You can metamorphose yourself right
at
into a
some
rock
point
if
we'll
you
all
want.
be some form of but
We've already been that. We're not
that's
likely to
right.
go back.
That's exactly right. And we just have to realize that, we get to choose, and you've said it before. I'm just reiterating what you said. We get to choose how we want to be at any given moment. And forgetting, to your point, Steve, yesterday, whatever happened, pulling forward from that what you need to be in this moment, what makes you better, stronger, whatever word you want to attach to that is what's most important, right?
Of course, and it doesn't have to be yesterday. It could be, a minute ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, and as a matter of fact, that's the best time to do it. So if something shows up and you don't like it, you're looking at it and just put it aside and just forget about it. Don't react to it. Now, something you just said a minute ago, I want to talk more about it. If you listen carefully to the other gurus out there that do science and that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, and they never ever talk about things like law of attraction or metaphysics or anything like that. But if you listen to the words that they're saying, they are almost identical
Mm.
to what I'm saying, like Anthony Robbins and Dr. Joe Dispenza, of course, Napoleon Hill, those guys. Now, Napoleon Hill was kind of in between, but I was listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's always talking about science, science, science.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, he slipped this sentence in to this interview, and I don't know how many people caught it. I caught it. He said, empirical data and science is the new language of metaphysics.
Mm.
Wow, what? He said that basically, he said that whatever it is you believe will manifest.
Mm.
Whatever, so metaphysics is the way to crack into, not metaphysics, but physical science and quote unquote empirical evidence is the way to get your brain to hear what's really going on in quote metaphysics. Now, I heard something recently too that there's really there's no difference between metaphysics and science and physicality and vibration. It's all the same. There's not layers of these things out there. There's only layers of your, guess what, frequency and your vibration. So we're back to that again.
Yeah, it all goes back to that, right? I
Hmm.
think it all just goes right back to that.
What did Tesla say? Think of everything in terms of frequency and vibration. And I don't know if he said consciousness, but basically frequency, vibration, and energy.
I mean, where are you going to go? I mean, that's just what it is, regardless of what someone may have learned, throughout their life. The reality of it is these things are real. This is real. And we all know people, every one of us know that negative person. They never get what they want out of life. They're complaining about everything. They complain about their job, their car, their house, their kids, their spouse, absolutely everything. And they're living in a perpetual state of pain and anguish. And no one wants to
That's
be
right.
around them, right?
That's for
No
sure.
one wants to be around them. The only time you call that person up is when you want to dump something out. Right? I mean, it's true.
Or
And it's the wrong person to dump to because you get nothing out of it.
well, you get, they're not going to hear you. They're going to be too busy thinking about what they're going to say next, and it's going to be
Absolutely.
negative, and you're going to be affected by that. And there's no point in doing that because you're going to end up with more of the same. That's all.
That's
So
all. That's all.
yeah,
So the most important thing is to, I know this is kind of cliche, be the change you want to see, right? Okay,
that's
Joe
right.
Cool. But you've got to be
That's
that
right.
person. And in listening to, you know, what you have to say about mastering this one skill to master your life, and that's forgetting those things in the past that aren't going to do you any good in the moment, I think is paramount. Because, as I always say, and I'm just talking from the conversations that I've had with Steve,
Mm,
sometimes you just got to be in the moment. And being in
got
the
to be
moment, well,
in the
really all the
moment.
time, you always want to be in the moment. And just being in that
Eh,
moment, Steve, it's a game changer. It changes everything. It just changes everything.
if you want to be happy for the rest of your life, oh, this is in my book, the first 50 belief ideas. So if you want to be happy, this is the formula for being happy for the rest of your life. And that is, it's also known as live happily ever after. And you can't be miserable now and look forward to a happily ever after because that's not the way it works. So you have to be happy now
And not take yourself too seriously.
and not take yourself to Vámonos a la fiesta pronto. So
What?
I need to get going to the party very soon, please.
Yes, absolutely. Steve, listen,
So,
uh, I love these conversations. I truly do. And just to recap for our viewers and listeners of the It's About Believe podcast and YouTube channel, if you really want to master your life, if you really want to control your life, you have to put yourself in today, in the moment, and not take yourself so serious or the situation, even though the situation may be serious, but it's only happening now. And what's already happened has happened. It cannot change. Steve has said that already, and you have to really believe it. You have to know it. It's not even a matter of belief. It's happened. All those negative things that have happened to you and me and everyone else watching and listening, those things have happened. They've already occurred. There's nothing we can do about them. All we can do is the best that we can do in the moment that we're in.
let me bounce into something that I have another video on this, but
Yeah. Yeah,
th-
please.
remember, this is a standalone moment. So there
Mm,
are no moments in the past or future. So when you change your vibrational frequency that is different from those, what we call negative moments in the past, you actually change not only where you're heading in the future, but you also change your past because you learn that one skill that you mastered that one skill. So you master your life. When you learn to forget, you actually change your past.
mm.
So when you forget those things that were in the past, they no longer exist in your past. How about that?
That part.
So it doesn't matter if they are there or not because they're not your past anymore. They're gone.
Mm.
Master this one skill, how to forget, and you will master your life.
And there you have it, folks. Steve, as always, man, thank you so very much for your insight, for your direction, for everything. I know what it's done for me, and I know I say it every time, and I'm imploring everyone to listen, watch, and implement these things into your life because they will change your life. And it's up to you to put yourself in that vibrational space, as Steve says, because it's real. So, Steve, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you. I really, really do. Uh, and I don't know anything more to say, but you guys watch this, share this with people that you know need to hear it, and watch more of what Steve has to say. There's a bunch of stuff on the channel, the It's About Belief YouTube channel. Share the channel with people that you know need to listen to these kind of things. And by all means, get that book. Get that book. Get the book. The link will be in the description.
It's on
So
Amazon. And
it's
by the
on
way,
Amazon.
hasta luego.
I
off,
don't know what the response to that is, but okay.
off the la fiesta pronto.
Take it easy, Steve. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. I mean,